The conflict between the United States and Venezuela did not begin overnight. To understand why these two nations became enemies, we must go back to the foundation of Venezuela's power: oil. Venezuela holds the largest proven oil reserves in the world, even more than Saudi Arabia. For decades during the 20th century, Venezuela was a close ally of the United States. American oil companies dominated Venezuela's energy sector, earning massive profits while the country appeared rich on paper. However, beneath this wealth, Venezuelan society was deeply unequal. A small elite enjoyed luxury, while the majority of citizens struggled with poverty. This imbalance created anger, frustration, and a desire for change among the people. In 1998, that anger gave rise to a man who would redefine Venezuela's relationship with America: Hugo Chávez. Hugo Chávez was not a traditional politician. He spoke directly to the poor, promised social justice, and openly criticized American influence in Latin America. Once elected president, Chávez took a bold and dangerous step. He nationalized Venezuela's oil industry. This meant American companies lost control over Venezuelan oil. To Chávez, this was liberation. To the United States, this was a threat. Chávez accused America of exploiting Venezuela for decades, while America accused Chávez of destroying democracy and promoting socialism. Tensions exploded in 2002 when a sudden military coup removed Chávez from power. For 2 days, it appeared that his rule was over. The United States was quickly accused of supporting the coup, although it denied direct involvement. What shocked the world was what happened next. Millions of Venezuelans flooded the streets, demanding Chávez's return. Within 48 hours, he was back in power. From that moment on, the relationship between the United States and Venezuela turned from cold to openly hostile.
After failing to remove Hugo Chávez by force, the battlefield shifted. This was no longer a war of soldiers and tanks, but a war of economies, influence, and pressure. The United States began imposing heavy sanctions on Venezuela, targeting its oil industry, financial system, and global trade. These sanctions made it nearly impossible for Venezuela to sell oil or access international banking. As oil revenue collapsed, the Venezuelan economy began to fall apart. Inflation reached unimaginable levels. Food and medicine disappeared from shelves. Millions of ordinary citizens were pushed into poverty, forcing many to flee the country. Critics argue that sanctions were meant to pressure the government, but in reality, it was the people who suffered the most. When Hugo Chávez died in 2013, Nicolás Maduro took power, inheriting a broken economy and a divided nation. Protests erupted across the country, elections were questioned, and political chaos deepened. The United States refused to recognize Maduro as the legitimate president, and instead supported opposition leader Juan Guaidó. This turned Venezuela into a global geopolitical battlefield. Russia and China stepped in to support Maduro, not out of friendship, but to challenge American dominance. What emerged was a modern proxy conflict. No direct military invasion, but constant pressure through sanctions, diplomacy, media warfare, and cyber influence. Today, the conflict between the United States and Venezuela remains unresolved. It stands as a powerful example of how control over resources, especially oil, can shape the destiny of nations. In this fight for power, ideology, and influence, one truth remains painfully clear. Governments clash, superpowers compete, but civilians always pay the highest price.